Hello, and welcome to Courage Concept number 18. Setting a meaningful goal that is tied to your core values creates harmony and balance in your life. Balance, maintaining balance in your life can be difficult. I experienced something a couple of weeks ago that got me off balance and out of harmony with my core values. One of the things that is really important to me is to move through life with ease and flow. And I'm getting better and better at that. But over the last couple of years, I have also adopted the value of being open, more open, and less judgmental. And so that has allowed me to experience new and different things and allow life to unfold. However, sometimes when I do this, it goes against my other value of having ease and flow in my life. And so that's what happened. I went on a second date with a guy who I didn't think was right for me after the first date, but I gave him a second chance because I wanted to be open and not judgmental. During the first date, there were a couple of things that didn't sit right with me. One of them I thought could be changed if I told him about the behavior that was a little bit odd for me, and that was him walking 10 steps ahead of me as we walked up to the entrance of the movie theater. But I thought, I won't say anything. I'll see how things go, and if things start to work out between us, then I will address that behavior. But the second thing was something I thought might be a little bit more ingrained, but I gave him a second chance anyway. And that thing was his tendency to talk about people generally in a negative way. He often would go on meetup events, and it seemed like he would always find that he would go to these meetup events and meet people he had nothing in common with. And he thought they were boring, that they weren't as smart as he was, some things of that nature. And so in the conversation, after a while, it started to get a little bit old for me. And I said, this conversation isn't really doing much for me. We all have things that we can work on, and we can choose to be around those people we want to be around and not around those that we don't have anything in common with. And he continued. And finally, I said, I'm not really enjoying this date. I think maybe I'm going to leave. He says, oh, no, I can change the subject. And so he did. And the rest of the date was fine. And I thought, well, he was able to refocus, and, I had a good enough time with him. And so the following day when he called to set up a second date, I was a little hesitant because I still remembered that conversation that didn't sit right with me, made me feel a little anxious, and made me feel out of alignment with my core value of ease and flow. But I said yes, because I also am open and don't want to be seen as judgmental. Unfortunately, during that second date, early on, he started that same train of conversation. And it became clear to me that this was something that is an ingrained thought pattern for him, something that is not going to be so easy to change. And so I had the rest of that date, and I recognized that I was not creating the flow and ease in my life that I wanted. And I asked myself, how can I not get out of balance with that and with those feelings associated with ease and flow and still feel good about myself? And what I came up with was the idea that setting a meaningful goal that is tied to my core values creates harmony and balance in my life. And so what I've done is, so that I don't get into a situation or too far into a situation where I am completely out of balance, I check in with my feelings and check to see if I feel like I am feeling when I am in alignment with my value or values, or if I feel like I'm out of balance and those feelings that I'm having aren't the way that I want to feel. And if I feel like I'm out of alignment, then I ask myself, what can I do to get back into alignment in the best way? And right there, it's a trigger. It's something that helps me to refocus and say, okay, I'm in this current situation. I might not be able to get out of it immediately, but I know that I have this plan that will get me back into balance as soon as possible. And just having that approach and that plan kind of makes my situation flow a little bit more easily because I know I have that plan. Now, in order to help you use this courage concept, which is tied directly to the catalyst for cultivating courage, that is setting a meaningful goal, because when you have set a meaningful goal, you have purpose and direction and something that will help you to move through your fears and doubts and get to where you want to go. It gives you that motivation and that push. So, questions that you can ask yourself to help you to create a meaningful goal around your values, your 3 to maybe 5 key core values, are this. I want you to think about a situation where you felt like you were out of alignment with one of your values. I want you to write that situation down and write down what value you felt you weren't honoring. Question number 2 is, what feelings were associated with that situation and being out of balance? And write down those feelings, all of the feelings that you felt. Question number 3 is, how do you feel when you are fully in alignment with this value? And I want you to write how you feel when you are in alignment. And question number 4 is, I'd like for you to create or set your meaningful goal that is tied to this value. And it's all about how you want to feel when you are experiencing life. It'll be a trigger and help you to get back on track if you start to go one side or the other of that balance and that harmony. All right. And it can look something like this. As I go through life and I start to feel blank, and I want you to enter those feelings that come to you when you are out of alignment with your values. I catch myself and I ask myself, how can I start to feel blank? And I want you to fill in the feelings that you listed that you feel when you are in alignment with your values. And in this way, you can start to create a plan to move through the situation you're currently in and into one that better serves your values. Okay? Does that make sense? Setting a meaningful goal that is tied to your core values creates harmony and balance in your life. Living life is like walking a tightrope. It is difficult. You need balance to get across to the other side. But with this new tool, you'll be able to stay in alignment or get back on track more quickly. That is Courage Concept number 18, and I will see you again next Monday for another one. Bye for now.